In the past year, the U.S. has seen one of the biggest economic recessions since 2008.
We're in an economic downturn.
The world is now in recession.
Recession in the next quarter or two because everything is shutting down, of course.
Across the country, the coronavirus pandemic has caused a record number of unemployment and business closures.
COVID crisis has impacted so many industries this year as the virus forced businesses across the country to close their doors.
While less than 2% of small businesses in the U.S. have closed during COVID, 52% expect they won't return to normal levels of operation for at least 6 months. Some are even worried that they'll close for good. Often forgotten compared to large metropolitan cities, smaller towns have also faced hardships. Cities of this size often rely on tourism and their local businesses. So how has McMinnville, a small Oregon city south of Portland, fared throughout the pandemic? McMinnville lies an hour southwest of Portland in Yamhill County. It is the county's largest city, yet it only has a population of just over 35,000 people. Located in the heart of the Willamette Valley, McMinnville shines as a center for Oregon wineries and agriculture. With wine and fresh produce comes tourism, and McMinnville is no exception. In the middle of McMinnville's downtown is its famous 3rd Street. Filled with local retailers, restaurants, and wine tasting rooms, it is the epicenter for McMinnville's local businesses and is a tourist hotspot.
3rd Street is one of the most capturing downtowns in America. It was in recent years named the 2nd best downtown in the United States. It has a charm to it you just cannot find in other places. I started this position exactly 1 week before everything shut down in the state of Oregon, making the job very different from what I perceived it was going to be. So we're a collective of approximately 150 members, and basically the whole idea of the Downtown Association is to support the downtown business community and making it a vital place to do business, assist them with generating traffic downtown. Initially it was difficult the first few months when it was closed down because it was new and nobody really knew how they were going to go and get through this.
When businesses were forced to close their doors to customers in March and April of 2020, many people were concerned for 3rd Street. But because of the business's strong roots in the community, they stood strong in the face of financial uncertainty.
We did a survey several months into the whole situation. And what we found is the downtown business community is really a very resilient bunch of businesses. And when I say that, you'll find that a lot of them have been in business 10 years or more, and therefore they really have a good understanding of their business and how to operate it. We had really good landlords down there in most cases that worked with the businesses by forgiving rent or partial rent forgiveness. And then also our local banks were a big part of this because they gave forgiveness as well to the various landlords so that they could give that forgiveness to retail.
The Downtown McMinnville Association also holds tons of events throughout the year that are famous to McMinnville, such as the annual UFO Festival. Many of these events had to adapt to restrictions or be canceled completely.
You completely had to step back and say, hey, let's assume that we're not going to do anything. And then let's look at our budget appropriately because obviously events generate income. And we had to kind of peel things back that way and strip them down and get even a better understanding of what that event income meant to us. We lost out on the UFO parade last year. We lost out on Trick or Treat. We lost out on concerts on the plaza. We lost out on the Santa parade. Our big thing we're doing now each summer is called Dine Outside, where it basically is a result of the COVID restrictions to be able to get the restaurants to spill out onto 3rd Street. And that really ended up as a savior for them this last summer. In helping the restaurant industry, it also created a whole new avenue for an event for us, even though we didn't technically call it an event, because it was really just facilitating the dining experience because it was so limited or shut down inside. So all in all, we have lost just a handful of businesses downtown, and that's really unbelievable given the constraints that they've been under, especially for our food and beverage industry, which, took the hit the biggest.
R. Stewart & Co. is one of McMinnville's signature wineries. Their tasting room on 3rd, as well as their winemaking factory, have had to undergo unexpected changes due to COVID.
R. Stewart was founded in 2001 by Rob and Maria Stewart. I am the direct sales manager and the wine club manager. So I handle essentially any transaction that goes between the winery and a customer directly goes through one of our channels. We source from 24 different vineyards all across the Willamette Valley. We're based here in McMinnville, so we're an urban winery. We produce between like 10 and 12,000 cases a year, which puts us at like the medium size for Oregon wineries. 2020 was going to be a really big year, especially for Oregon wine. Just more tourism was going to be happening. We were going to see more visitors, more people buying wine, specifically coming here to drink wine. We were all gearing up for that, and then COVID hit. And so we had to restructure our entire direct-to-consumer sales channel, but also our wholesale channel, because not only could we not really host people here, restaurants across the country that we sell our wine in were also closing. The biggest thing for us was we were really fortunate to be able to really increase our shipping. So our customer base is about 50% in the Pacific Northwest, and then 50% elsewhere, mostly on the East Coast and in the South. And we had a lot of people who, I think the whole conversation too is supporting small businesses just around the country in general. So we had a lot of people ordering wine to be shipped. So the best part for us was learning the shipping world a little bit better than we had in the past. On the direct-to-consumer front, we're talking a lot more about virtual tastings. So many different experiences have been coming out, and how do you get to-go kits? How do you do tastings at home? I started working with a couple companies who they wanted to reward their staff. So what they did was purchase wine from me. I create these gift packs with cheese and meats and like a little charcuterie, and then I lead them through a tasting virtually, so they're all at home with their families. I have a staff of 7, and trying to figure out to make sure everyone was okay was our biggest priority, making sure everyone felt taken care of and if they needed help. And but then applying for as many grants as we could, the PPP loans, small business loans, just seeing how we can financially get by until we could really get our feet on the ground to figure out what our next steps were. But then with Dine Outside, what happened is essentially we were able to put another 15 people outside. And people love eating outside. They love hanging out, especially in the Oregon summer. And so that really helped a lot of businesses. But it really made downtown feel a little bit more lively during a really sad time, just in general. And they're continuing it this year. So I think it's going to be something that will continue on. People are itching to get it started, so it's actually starting earlier than it did last year.
Linfield University is an educational symbol of McMinnville. The small liberal arts college of just 1,400 students has had to adapt to COVID restrictions as well, but has also managed to keep students on campus and in person this past year.
Linfield's value proposition, or what Linfield offers to students, is really an in-person experience. From the fact that we are mostly a residential campus, to the class sizes, and to the ratios of instructors to students. And so we knew that to offer what Linfield has to offer and to give everybody the experience they really want from Linfield, we needed to be in person. Our temporary policies regarding COVID here at Linfield are masks, physical distancing, reduced capacities in classrooms, ID requirements. We have remained fairly closed as far as allowing guests and other people who are not directly part of the Linfield community here on campus.
Although Linfield adapted to staying open, a financial hit was inevitable.
We do have a reduced number of students on campus. Some of that has to do a little bit with the financial impacts, due to COVID and jobs. People, whether they're comfortable coming to an on-campus experience. The other thing that got affected was student housing, how many students are staying here on campus, because we actually had to reduce that capacity just a little bit also because of the requirements for square footage per student. We're situated right in McMinnville, so we're a part of the community. Compared to a lot of places in town, we have a rather dense collection of people. That's our students who are all living here. We do influence things. If we were to have a lot of cases all at once, we would affect the numbers for the area, and we do affect the community and the numbers.
With nearly 3 million vaccine shots administered nationwide daily, Yamhill County recently moved from extreme to low risk in less than a month. Some are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We're feeling good about things downtown. We're certainly proud of the people downtown that come there as well as work there, and the way they're doing everything they can in their power to stay safe and keep their distance.
We're starting to see more people come, and I think that's only going to get busier just because people have been at home for over a year.
I think things will look a little more normal, but I don't know that I would say that in the fall it'll be back to the way we were.
It's hard to pick a date when things are going to get to a point where, perhaps we could call it normal.
You have all these small family-owned wineries that are really cool experiences. You have the big ones too, but you're more likely to be able to sit down with the people who own the winery and talk about why they do what they do, and it's always a passion. It's a passion project that draws people here.
The other thing that I found out about McMinnville is how the community itself is so supportive of one another. I think the university being here is a plus, and of course our proximity to Portland and the beach. All these things add up. It just makes McMinnville a really special place to be. Those are the main reasons why McMinnville delivers such an awesome statement.